Hello, Raider Nation, and welcome back to another edition of Let It Rip Sports Show. We have to talk about the preseason game, Rams versus the Raiders. Now, overall, extremely excited for this team. I saw some good things, and I saw a couple things that give me cause for concern. But before we get to the concern part, let's talk about what the Raiders did do well. And first off, Derek Carr, he looked amazing. He looks like he's poised to make that next jump that you typically see in quarterbacks from year 1 to year 2. He was decisive in his throws. He didn't rush anything, and he didn't. A lot of people criticized Derek Carr or said it was one knock on him for going to check down, but he went downfield with his throws. Crabtree had some catches. Amari Cooper had some catches, and I felt that he's gonna make that big jump that's gonna take us to the next level. Amari Cooper looked good as advertised, smooth in his route running. I did think they were deliberate in trying to get him the ball earlier on, and I felt outside of for Derek Carr, I'm speaking of now. I felt that he had a very good game, except for the interception at the end of the game, at the end of his drive, his last pass actually, excuse me, where he had a miscommunication with Amari Cooper in the end zone. Obviously, you don't want to end like that, but beyond that, he was really good. Crabtree, he was as advertised. I've been reading reports from beat writers saying that Crabtree's been having his way. He's been dominant in camp, which is good because we need him to have a bounce back year so we can take our offense to the next level. Latavius Murray, he looked like the truth. For all you fantasy players, get this man. I'm pretty sure in most leagues he's going to be available in the third or fourth rounds easily. The offensive line, Rodney Hudson, he looked like the truth out there. Overall, the offensive line looked really, really good. Derek Carr was not pressured. Matter of fact, all the quarterbacks from Christian Ponder to Matt McGloin, none of them seemed pressured. So the offensive line play was great. Credit Mike Tice, the offensive line coach, for that. The running backs outside of Latavius Murray really didn't show me much. Let's talk about Trent Richardson for a quick second. Now, I know everybody has been flaming this man for the huge hole he missed in the red zone, and I'm not going to flame him because it's not like other running backs in the NFL have missed big holes. DeMarco Murray has missed holes. I've seen Adrian Peterson miss holes. I've seen even Barry Sanders miss holes. Now, the huge difference between all those players that I mentioned and Trent Richardson is they've all been Pro Bowl players. They've all rushed for upwards of 1,800 yards to 2,000 yards. Trent Richardson to date has only rushed for almost next to nil. So, obviously, people are going to harp on him. And throughout his career, he's been known as not having good vision. But one thing I will give Trent Richardson, he looks faster than he has at any time in the NFL. In his NFL tenure, he's looked faster. He had a lot of jump I saw in his game, which is due to his dramatic weight loss. I believe he came into this game around 220. So that's huge. And I'm not gonna say he can't play in this league yet. I want to see more games from him because it's only one preseason game, and I'm not gonna crown him or dethrone him or cast him aside based on one bad play in a preseason game. So let's hold off on Trent Richardson. I know he's been flamed in the national media for missing a huge hole, but let's give this man a couple of games before we start saying, okay, everybody might be right about this man, Trent Richardson. Dyer, he's been having a good camp, but I didn't really see much from him. George Atkinson III, he really didn't have a good game. I don't know if it's going to be really hard for him to make this roster. I really don't see it, especially on special teams. He's had ball security issues, so that's one concern for him. Overall, we got to see what Roy Halu's going to do when he comes back from his injury. Hopefully, he can offer some a spark. But Taiwan Jones, though, I was always critical of the previous coaching staff for not giving him an ample time to show what he has at running back. Taiwan Jones has actually showed me something in this preseason game. He showed me good bursts. He showed me that he's willing to run up the middle, but he showed me good vision. I kind of wonder about ball security because that's always been kind of his thing, similar to George Atkinson III. But I think that he's more dynamic than George Atkinson III. So I'm curious to see how he develops into this backup role for as a running back. I want to see what he shows me in the second game against the Vikings. I want to see what he does in the third preseason game. I'm really intrigued with him. I saw bits and pieces of good things from this man. So I want to see if he can string along back to back good plays. I'm curious about that. Now, for the defense, let's start with the good thing. Let's start with the positive. Our defensive line looks to be super legit. I mean, let's start off with Khalil Mack. That man is a monster. Did you guys see what he did to Greg Robinson while slipping? Just pushing him back all the way back to Napa, as Shelby Harris said in the post game. He's gonna one thing I think that will help Khalil Mack is that we have more players who are stepping up and getting sacks as a result of the pressure that Khalil Mack imposes on offensive lines. I think we'll have, with the addition of Mario Edwards, I think he'll come along. People have been saying he has a great first step. I think he'll benefit from Khalil Mack. A lot of times, excuse me, before I get into that, let's talk about our interior linemen's upgraded. We have Dan Williams, we have Shelby Harris, we got Big Jelly. I think now Khalil Mack will have more sack numbers, because in previous years, well, last year actually, quarterbacks were able to just step up in the pocket and make throws or escape. Now, since we upgraded our interior linemen, they won't be able to do that. So now they'll be trapped for Khalil Mack to either get QB pressures and either get a sack or allow our defensive linemen to get a sack, which you saw in that game with Shelby Harris. So I think the defensive line play was good. Our linebackers, they seem to be solid. Curtis Lofton, huge upgrade over Miles Burris, obviously. Malcolm Smith was good. And I'm shocked. I thought Ben Henne was going to be more of a project. I didn't think he was going to be this good in live action. But he reminds me a lot of Chris Borland out of Wisconsin, who went to play for the 49ers before he retired. He seems almost like a carbon copy of not Miles Burris, but of Chris Borland. He's slightly undersized, great speed, great instincts, and tenacious. I love Ben Henne. Watching him play, he seemed like a guy who plays with his hair on fire and will never give up on a play. That's what you like to see in your linebacking core. And that's what we need. So if God forbid, something happens to Curtis Lofton, we got Ben Henne in the wings who can offer us some good depth. So I was very impressed with Ben Henne. Now, what really bothers me with our defense is our DBs. And it's been a huge topic of conversation is the inexperience at cornerback. And I think it showed with Tavon Austin. We missed like 3 or 4 tackles against this man. He got like a 20 or 30 yard catch and run. We can't have that if we expect to go to the in the regular season and make some noise here. I mean, DJ Hayden, he's been shaky. TJ Carey's been solid. Keith McGill didn't have a really good game in that preseason game against the Rams. It's just one game, but I don't want to make it seem like our DBs suck. But Reggie McKenzie might want to start looking at that waiver wire and see if we can pick up some veteran leadership and veteran players. Because if this happens in game 2 and game 3 of the preseason, I can't imagine what they're going to do when teams are actually going to be game planning against us. This is just a vanilla offenses we're going against. So I'm kind of worried, but I'm not going to push the panic button yet. I'm just going to sit there and watch the games. But that's one major concern that I have regarding this team. So overall, great effort. Loved the team. Loved the offense. Offense was crisp. I love the defensive line play. Our front seven was huge. Also, Bryce Butler and Seth Roberts, 2 undrafted guys who I think can make a huge contribution if they build up on their momentum that they established in game 1. If they can do that in game 2 against the Vikings in game 3, it's going to be pretty hard to cut down that wide receiver roster. Now, how weird does that sound? position battles at the wide receiver position. Last year, we lost Rod Streater, and we're like, oh my God, it was almost a fire. So who can we get in here? Now it's crowded. It's full of competition. Crabtree's doing work. Amari Cooper's doing work. Hopefully, Rod Streater just came back on Sunday. So hopefully he can get back to his form. We got Kimbrel Tompkins. Seth Roberts is showing up. Now you have Bryce Butler showing up. It's going to be a huge position battle, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Hopefully those two guys can show more in succeeding games. But obviously, this year the Raiders are poised to make a huge jump. In my heart of hearts, I want to say playoffs, baby. I want to say playoffs. But I'm going to temper that and wait until a couple more games. So, let me know what you guys think, Raider Nation. Do you think my analysis is on base, off base? Did I miss anybody who stood out to you in your mind? Did I miss anybody who was subpar in your mind? Feel free to leave comments and or suggestions. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It's Bangarang. That's BANGGORANG. And yes, that's from Hook. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Let It Rip Sports Show. Thanks again for watching.